Welcome back to filmaddict.net for the latest TV and movie reviews for Boys on Film. Raj is here.
Hey Phil.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Today we're reviewing something that you told me about. I didn't know about it before you mentioned it, which is a film called Beach Rats.
Yes. So I had a chance to see this at the London Film Festival this year. Quite a very interesting movie, dark movie.
Yep.
Where did you two meet?
On the boardwalk, under the fireworks.
Basically, it's about a young man in Brooklyn who leads a very typical Brooklyn teenage life, right?
Yeah.
So he hangs out with his friends, has a very typical relationship with his mom and his sister. His dad's a bit ill, which causes a bit of a dampener on the family and the whole family dynamic, because the family is really all about taking care of the father. And sort of secretly at night, he goes online and cruises for guys on, I guess, the Brooklyn version of Grindr or Gaydar or whatever it is, kind of exploring his sexuality in private. And that is the basis of the film and how that all fits into his friends, his family, and the challenges that he needs to overcome in this secret little passion of his.
You want to take a walk on the beach?
It's an interesting story because all is not what it would seem. There are many depths, I think, to the storyline. It's been directed by Eliza Hittman, who I didn't know had only produced another film, so this is her second. It's follow-up to It Felt Like Love. Cinematically, I thought it looked great. It felt great, and there's not a lot of dialogue in the movie either, so it kind of relies on mood and colours and music. There's a lot of music which kind of takes over. Some scenes, it's actually louder than the dialogue. You can't really hear much of the dialogue.
Yeah.
So I was struggling a bit for the first 20 minutes to actually hear what they were saying, because it's kind of quite laid back. It's quite dreamy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The overall mood of the film.
And a bit simplistic too.
Yeah. I like the fact that it was quite dreamlike. It felt like I was in another world almost, in his world.
I think Beach Rats definitely, it's one of those films that puts you in the seat of the character and you kind of imagine how you are in the character making these decisions, and when he makes risky decisions or if he does something that probably you wouldn't want to do, you kind of feel that as a viewer of this movie, and it's a bit startling. And there's definitely a few decisions in the movie where I was like, I certainly wouldn't have done that for fear of my own safety, but he did.
But then I guess his life was not that simple, was it? It was quite complicated, because he's having a relationship with a girl. Madeline Weinstein is the actress who played her. And to me, it seems like he's almost having a relationship with her because he's unsure of his sexuality, because obviously he's cruising with guys online, and then eventually he does go out and meets these guys online. But then it's almost like he goes back to the relationship with Simone to try and justify that relationship. It's almost like he's juggling the two and not really sure of whether he's bisexual or gay or straight. It never seems to be that clear.
And it's kind of like he definitely puts his toe in the pond, and then he puts his foot in the pond, and then he puts his leg in the pond, and you feel like there's an element of danger and risk of what's happening, and how at any second, if he says or does the wrong thing, meets the wrong person, it could all come crumbling down on him. It
does feel quite ominous. Can we talk about him, Harris Dickinson, who I think is only 21 now. He's got a theatre and TV career. I think this is his first movie. I thought his performance was phenomenal.
It was, actually. I will give the movie that credit, because this is his discovery, actually. So Harris Dickinson, immediately after I saw the movie, I was like, I want to know about this guy, and I want to know where he comes from. I found him on Instagram and sort of, delved into his history a bit, and he is kind of a new, fresh-faced kind of it boy.
And it's like we were talking about Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water. Her performance, because she was a mute woman, relied on her expressions. And it's the same with Harris Dickinson as well, because he doesn't say that much. The weight of his performance is down to how he looks and his expressions with the turmoil. You can just see the anxiety and the turmoil.
And the communication without actual words, non-communication, is very powerful in this movie.
There's a moment where Simone is chatting to Frankie as well, and there's some girls in front, and it's almost like Frankie's asking her what she thinks about same-sex relationships, and he says, have you ever made out with a girl? It's almost like he's, like you say, putting his toe in the pond and just testing the waters to see her reaction and whether she'd be okay with him being, you know, someone who was toying with same-sex relationships. And she does actually say something which I thought was quite offensive. Obviously that's her character. I'm not saying that the director or the writer is, you know, homophobic, but she says, oh, 2 girls together is hot, 2 guys is just gay, which I thought was quite a strange thing to say. I know people would say that.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that, actually. I kind of felt like that response didn't startle me at all, because that's actually how a lot of people think.
Yeah, maybe she was more homophobic than his friends that he hangs out with on the beach.
Yeah. Can I ask you a little bit about what you thought of the marketing of this film? Because when you see the posters, it's obviously, you know, shirtless guys, and it feels like it's going to be very much a salacious sort of gay film.
Yeah.
But it's not really. I wasn't disappointed with it, but I think it was just marketing towards a gay audience to get them in the theater. And then when you get in the theater, you leave the film going, oh wow, that was a lot different going into it, what I thought I was going to see.
I think that's the surprise, isn't it? Because you're not really seeing what you're expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you say it was a gay movie? I wouldn't. It's like the discussions we had before with Call Me By Your Name. This is about experimenting with sexuality, isn't it? So he's obviously having a relationship with a girl too. Yeah. So, do you call it a bisexual movie?
Well, I think, regardless of whatever you want to call it, I think the marketing of the film is very much to get gays into the theater, and, you know.
That's a good point. Because the girl's not really shown in the movie images, is she? She's not really touched on, and I think it's, if anything, it's more to do with her than the guys in some way. Was he more interested in her or the older men? Because the older men seem to be just a sexual thing. And it didn't seem to be a friendship thing.
And you're still kind of left wondering that after the film. It's not.
That's what I loved the ending.
It's not a very clear cut, well, this is what happens.
It's not. It doesn't wrap things up at all, does it? When, you know, in the closing moments, I think it gave me something to think about. The sex scenes they felt quite natural. I don't think they were gratuitous, though.
Yeah, and actually, going back to my point about the marketing, that's what I thought I was going to get, a lot of gratuitous.
You thought you were going to get more
nudity.
Than that.
Not that I was expecting it or wanting it, but it was just like, it kind of like set the tone for you going into the film. Like, okay, well, let's see what this movie is all about. Yeah. And again, you're just completely surprised at how hard it hits you, kind of emotionally and internally, after seeing it. There
was another interesting moment where I think it was his first real sexual experience, where he goes to a motel room with one of the guys he meets online and eventually sees in person, but where they're in bed, and the other guy says, oh, you can always determine if you're gay or not because your pointing finger is longer than your ring finger, or is it the other way around? I can't quite remember.
I have to laugh at that point, because in the audience where I saw it with, you literally saw people lift up their hands.
I did exactly the same, weirdly, because both of my hands are different. My ring finger is shorter on that one and it's longer on the other hand. So what does that mean?
I think you liked it a little bit more than I did, Phil. There were a couple plot points that felt a little bit forced for me. In particular, when he starts to tell his friends about what he's doing. And again, we're not going to give too much away because that is a major part of the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of the plot to the story just felt forced to me. So, yeah, I don't know if I quite believed it, but in the end, it was a good story.
Do you think that might be because it's the second movie for the director, and also it's, you know, I mean, it's a new venture for a lot of people in it. I thought the performances overall were fantastic when you consider, well, I thought they were fantastic alone, but also when you consider that the people in it are relatively new to filmmaking.
Yeah, I definitely think with Harris Dickinson, a star is born here.
Absolutely.
So I'm really curious about what he's going to do next in the film. He just has a presence about him that is quite captivating, and I could see why the director would want to make a movie featured around him, because he really is. Despite it not being a very dialogue-y movie, it's just, he kind of captivates you. You literally feel like you're him in the whole movie. So, despite one of the weak dialogue points and storylines for me, I think definitely the takeaway is A Star Is Born with Harris Dickinson.
The start of something exciting, I think. Well, overall, I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. Beach Rats gets 4 stars in my book.
For me, it's 3 stars, but definitely worth checking out this film, if anything we said is slightly interesting to you at all.
Yeah, let us know if you're going to see it or if you have seen it already in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon on Boys on Film.